YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today I got my wide receiver rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft, going through top 15. Got some scouting reports, and we'll go over superlatives as well. Did this for the quarterbacks and running backs so far. Definitely going to get through every position group. Got a recent mock draft that is up as well. Updated one with some trades. A lot more to come leading up to the draft, during the draft, and after the draft. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow our Twitter. A lot going on there. Definitely going to want to follow that. Link down below. Let's go to the receiver superlatives. Day one impact. One with Garrett Wilson, mainly because he's got some good experience playing inside and outside, kind of being effective everywhere on the field. So that would be the kind of the slight difference, splitting him up to being the best day one impact, perhaps. Most upside, I'm gonna go Drake London, who's definitely growing on me a little bit. Boomer bust prospect for sure. But why he has the most upside. I mean, you just don't see receivers with that height / contested catch ability. Those usually go together, right? But that with kind of the quickness and footwork. Sometimes we see those guys with the speed along with it, which is different than the quickness and footwork, ability to get separation and do multiple different things. So if he kind of puts it all together, if he learns how to run more routes, kind of be away from just the left side of the field, tons of upside. Best hand's going to go with Jahan Dotson. Very solid hand, sure-handed receiver. There's not too many receivers that are just elite hands. There's not too many. Thought about George Pickens. Not as many receptions as Dotson. Dotson pretty underrated as a contested catcher as well. Attacks the ball, up in the air. Best deep threat, going to go Jameson Williams. Definitely could go Chris Olave, who's very, very good deep. Maybe a little more smoother in the routes deep. Olave, that is. I think combining, the deep threat of Jameson Williams, ability to run routes deep, but that elite speed and ability to stretch the field a little bit more, I went with him. Best footwork, Skyy Moore kind of goes into why he has a very good release off the line. Very good footwork when it comes to his routes as well. Very fun to watch. Best routes in general, I'm going to go Chris Olave. Yeah, just smooth, crisp route runner. And part of the routes is kind of understanding where to end your route, where to adjust your route. I think Olave is very good, very strong in those categories. After the catch, got to go Treylon Burks, who's also maybe after the handoff as well with the end arounds. But, so many screen passes, and he's just so good after the catch, breaking tackles. Saw it against some SEC competition. Another exciting player to watch. Your best contested catcher, definitely got to go Drake London. I thought that one was pretty obvious. Most underrated, going to go Danny Gray from SMU. I really like this tape. Not really getting talked about at all. You don't hear that name kind of getting popped up, mentioned really much at all. I like this tape at SMU. Explosive, speedy player, very good after the catch, good field vision after the catch, kind of a home run type receiver. Then sleeper, Velus Jones Jr. There's a lot of these guys that they're under 6 foot. Are they gadget guys? We can do different things with them. There's a lot of those guys, a number of them. And I think Velus Jones Jr. might be the best out of that bunch. Outside of the, Burks might be a gadget guy as well. So outside of the obvious guys I'm talking, I think Velus Jones Jr. from Tennessee might be the best out of the bunch, looking at pretty close to guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Austin, Bo Melton, those types of guys. I like Velus Jones Jr. I think he's got more than just being that gadget guy, but he's got the speed. He's got good hands, good underrated contested catch ability. So that's a sneaky receiver there. Let's go on to the rankings now. We're going to start with number 1. Gonna go Garrett Wilson. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Top 4 they're gonna be around that top 10 range. But the top 3, there is barely anything splitting them up. Kind of what I talked about during the superlatives is kind of what the slight difference was with Garrett Wilson, or why he is number 1. Effective pretty much everywhere, not just lining up inside and out, because in 2020 he started at more of a slot role, in 2021 more of the X outside role, but kind of played a little bit of both throughout the way. Not only that, he's versatile in that category, but really he gets going underneath. Just give him the ball, let him go to work after the catch, intermediate routes, downfield, so effective everywhere. So that would be the slight difference, what's putting Wilson at number 1. Great body control. Yeah, I like how he attacks the ball when he has to at its highest point, not just waiting for it. He's definitely a great athlete as well. We saw that. But yeah, the main thing is he's just such a big playmaker and effective all over the place, really. Why you could pass on him. Sometimes he Yeah, dances a little bit too much with his routes. Sometimes those guys gets a little rubbery. Gets a little wiggly there with his a little bit too much with the feet as well. So you can fix that. Just calm it down a little bit. And then release could improve, I guess, more so against if he's outside versus press man or press coverage, I should say, from the NFL physical corner. So he can improve against that, because it's going to be an adjustment. Under 6 feet tall, he has the length that goes with a guy much bigger than 6 feet tall, but just under that. Is that really a negative? Not really when you play like Garrett Wilson. It's just something that you notice that all the best NFL receivers seems like all of them are about 6'1", like right there. Some of them 6'2", some of them 6 feet tall. Maybe length is a little bit more important, which Wilson has, 5'11", just under that 6 feet range. But he's at number 1. And the guy, with maybe the prototype height for today's NFL, Jameson Williams, a little on the thin side though, 179. Such an elite deep threat, elite speed. Yes, even NFL speaking, not just college. I think he's an NFL elite speed deep threat there. Stretches defense, speed kills in today's NFL. It's a big reason to put Jameson Williams at 1, but it's just so tight. Went Wilson. Good footwork and route runner. Not the greatest in the class, but very solid. Dominates man coverage. I mean, just mainly with the speed. The amount of teams that were in man against Bama with Jameson Williams out there, head scratching, really, because you know what's coming and you still can't stop it. Very solid after the catch. Not going to break a bunch of tackles, but he's using that speed, that quickness, that athletic ability, and he can be a legitimate returner at the next level in the NFL. Why pass him? Coming off torn ACL, I'm not too worried about that. Not a huge negative for me. I know it's somewhat recent, so maybe that is why maybe it is a little bit of a negative, but just a different time, a different era. Players coming off back from that. Some of them say they're better than ever. At once they're fully recovered, which is, you love to hear that. Thin frame, so could that result in more injuries? Could argue that. Didn't play much at Ohio State, which is interesting. Like, why? Why didn't he play much at Ohio State? Is Ohio State basically saying that Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave are better than him? I think it's more so, Williams more of a Z receiver, Olave a Z receiver. Olave was already established in there as a very good receiver at Ohio State, so why swap him out? I guess the question is, did you view Jameson Williams as anything else? You couldn't play him anywhere else. Why didn't he fit? Some questions there. End up working out at Alabama. But then you do, something that's a little scary, little bit. You look at the last deep threat, speedster, Z receiver from Alabama, it's Henry Ruggs. Think of Henry Ruggs. Who, and we really didn't get to see the full Henry Ruggs there for unfortunate situation there. But, early part of his NFL career, it's like he's just kind of a deep speed threat. Can he do more? So Jameson Williams, can he give you the underneath play? Can he read zone coverages, find the soft spot, not just win with the speed? So some questions there. It feels like there's more to his game where he can do that, but it does bring up the question, will he be more than just that deep threat versus NFL zone coverages, which that's really, there's a few teams that run heavy man, but it's really just zone coverage out there. It's a lot different than college football. Maybe one of the biggest differences from college to the NFL. So I guess some questions there. How will he adjust? But some serious some serious speed in a speed era. Number 3, Chris Olave, very close to being 1, 2, 3, not too far apart there. Definitely an elite deep threat, knows how to get open, knows how to use the speed, great hands, catches the ball in stride. You got the quickness, speed, footwork, routes, all of the above there. Underrated contested catcher. When he needs to, I like how he goes up and gets the ball. I do. It's not like his big strength, but I think I see some people kind of knock him on that. I'm going to disagree. I think he's not, that's not his forte, but he's good enough at it, in my opinion. Very smart receiver. He knows how to find open spots in coverage. There's a big reason why I really consider him 1 or 2 is because the best receivers in the NFL, are they necessarily the biggest? Definitely not. But the fastest, the strongest, all of that. No, it's really the guys, a mixture of the smartest and best route runners. So that would be a reason why Olave can be 1, because he's very smart and he knows how to find, adjust his routes on the fly, find the open spots on the field. Being able to read zone kind of going into the NFL is great. So that's like a reason to argue number 1. I guess what's splitting him up, why he's 3, I guess, is I don't like how he doesn't really get involved much other than deep. I mean, he can do other things, 10 yards on the field, back shoulder or come back, and they had him go on some drag sometimes, but no matter who was on the drag for Ohio State, it seemed like it was a schemed-up play, wide open. Kind of avoided traffic, which is kind of a good thing in a way because he avoided traffic. He's finding the open spots, but didn't get to see much of him in traffic. So is there as much to his game, even though he's more polished and he's smarter than the other two? Is there as much to his game right now than the other two? That's kind of the question. Smaller frame. That's kind of the same deal with the first two. I'm not really too worried about it. Guys like Justin Jefferson got a smaller frame, obviously. Not great after the catch, but not as bad as people are saying. People are like literally saying he's bad after the catch. And the more and more I watch, this isn't really a big negative for me. He's not going to break tackles. He's not going to load up on a bunch of yak, right? But you watch him, and when he needs to get the extra yards, first down or end zone, he's going to use that speed, turn it up a notch. He'll dive for the end zone, seeing that. If he has to fight for he'll try to fight. He's not going to break a bunch of tackles. But there is a lot of times where it kind of reminds me of Tyreek Hill. You watch Tyreek Hill, and not that I'm comparing the two, but just in this aspect, you watch Tyreek Hill, and he's either blazing by everybody. And there's some times where he's kind of looking for that lane, doesn't see it, go straight out of bounds. And everyone's like, yeah, I guess he doesn't want, it's no point, if there's no lane. Because if there's a lane, he would take it with that speed. Goes out of bounds, doesn't want, no use to getting one extra yard to get hurt. Be smart about it. I see some similarities there. Olave will just, if there's no open path and it's, and don't need to fight for a first or a touchdown, end zone, kind of just goes out of bounds. So that could say he could have a lengthy career because of, being just smart in general. The main thing, though, is he doesn't really get involved in the short game and in traffic. So is he just a deep threat? I'd like to think he'd do more just because he's so smart, so smooth, So really like these top-tier guys. Drake London going to be number 4, upside guy, a little different body than the other guys as well. 6'3", elite contested catch ability. Very impressive to see what he's able to do in that category. Great size. I think loads of upside, and it kind of goes in to his negative a little bit right now. He was kind of just stuck on one side of the field, ex-receiver, left side of the field. It was either a skinny post or, kind of a comeback. At times they would do screens or like a one-step slant, like a very quick slant. It seemed to be against very soft coverage, though, for just those classic college football guys just playing 10, 12 yards off the ball for I don't know what reason. So I don't really see, and not that you can't give him screen pass and everything. He's pretty tough after the catch for a 6'3" guy, but I just don't see it being that easy, obviously. But if you can with his ability, the rare combo of the size, contested catch ability, and the footwork quickness, those things. So if you can take that and get more out of him, more of a route tree, more than just the left side of the field, he's going to be special. He's probably going to be, if you get more out of him and he's polished doing everything pretty early on, he's probably going to be the best from this class, really. But I do like these more than a deep threat too. You see him get the ball underneath, use his quickness, his toughness there. But back to the negatives. Yeah, I've kind of, over the years, I've learned something that these receivers is, a lot of times the guys are the kind of eye-popping moments, wow moments, but sometimes these guys, they have limited route trees or they're just one side of the field. They don't really do much else, and I've learned that those guys just very likely tend not to work out in the NFL, and I've kind of told myself, let's stay away from ranking these guys high. As you can tell, I'm making an exception for Drake London. It's just really a very rare type of player, but yes, limited route tree, but really limited to just the wide left side of the field. Most of his plays, catches came from the left of the hashes even. I don't love that, so I don't love that. Can they get more out of him? A lot of it's probably USC's fault, really is, but that doesn't really change anything. But can they get more out of him? He's coming off that injury as well. Has some crazy contested grabs, but then dropped some easy ones. So I don't love that. I believe it was 8 drops this year. Then missed some time at the end as well. So I don't love that either. But yeah, just a ton of upside. Some just a wow type player, right? Number 5, I'm going to go Skyy Moore. I like Skyy Moore a lot. On the shorter side, 5'9". I just like to play. I just like to play there, so it doesn't really bother me too much. I think he has the best release in the class. The footwork, the quickness, how he gets off the line, and it's tough to gauge what direction he's going in and where he could go. Footwork and routes are fantastic. Very solid after the catch. Tough, speedy, obviously, very athletic. I liked his production from the slot and outside. I think it's pretty even. It does feel like he could be a better slot receiver in the NFL. Very solid hands as well. So there's quite a few guys with some more drops than you would like. Not really Skyy Moore here. On the shorter side, maybe limited to the slot, which is that really a negative, but I would like for a team to use him on both, right? Then multiple ankle injuries in the past. I believe it's been some time. 2016, 2018, top of my head. Another positive. Just remembered, he played quarterback and DB in high school. I actually like that a lot. Having that background that's kind of related to the receiver position, it can make you smarter, just understanding your opponent a little bit more, and just, coverages, things like that. So I do like that a lot as well. But we got top 15, so we got a few more guys to go over here. Treylon Burks can be number 6. Yeah, elite after the catch is very, very fun to watch. There's a lot to get excited about after the catch. Big playability, even downfield. He's got some moments where he's got a contested catch. Just really bodies the guy, boxes him out almost. He won't have incredible leaping ability. Spectacular catch, ability. He got good hands. Sometimes he tries to go for that one-handed catch a little bit too much, though. Like his size, too. Just real tough to bring down. People compare him to Debo, but maybe almost like a build like DK, just not as lengthy. He's pretty damn lengthy, though. So there's a lot to like there. And you kind of like the upside versatility, because right now I don't know if he's that versatile, because it just feels like he's a big slot right now. He's got a lot more work to do to be the outside receiver, so he could be limited to the slot. There are some people out there talking about him being a polished outside receiver. That's just not the case right now, but he can be. He has some good moments on the outside, though. It's just... And they might be, if you're going to watch his best plays of the year, you might find like 2 of those are outside. And against Bama, he had a nice contested catch on the outside. Missouri was probably my favorite one. He had a nice, just a real quick double move on the outside, one-on-one man coverage, and just burned the guy, touchdown, on that play. So, but a lot of work to do to play on the outside, limited to the slot, very limited routes. Majority of his production, majority was... end around, screen pass. You may take one step and we're going to throw you the ball within 10 yards, So how much do those guys do? I mean, he's going to be fun to watch. Going to be productive, but is he just going to be kind of a gadget type guy early on? Wait for him to develop more. That's kind of the question there. But I'm a big fan of Burks. He's very, very fun to watch. He's going to be one of those. Everyone likes Debo. Everyone likes, and A.J. Brown kind of has that play style too. But can Burks become those guys? But he's going to be fun to watch either way. Jahan Dotson, number 7. I'd take him in the first round as well. Great speed and instincts. I'd say Olave, Dotson, and then the guy I have ranked at 9, which we'll get to. I think those guys probably do the best job at understanding coverages and finding open lanes, soft spots and zones, which is impressive. You don't have to teach a guy that, So that's very impressive. Great hands. I think the best in the class. I think very underrated at going up and catching the ball, attacking its highest point. Nobody really gives him that credit. Thin frame, obviously limited after the catch. Not going to be a tackle breaker. Could he be limited in the slot? And why that's a bit of a question too, because he actually played more snaps outside, and people view him as they see his body and I think maybe he's more of he had some big moments from the slot as well, and they had like safeties on him. He was just way too quick and fast for them. But does he get limited to the slot where he didn't play as much? How will he be right away? So it's just some small questions. George Pickens, 8, great hands, great contested catchability. I think faster than people give him credit for. Maybe better footwork than people give him credit for too. Some of those comebacks, he's really quick getting out of that break. Some of the big body guys just cannot get out of it. They can't run the comeback. They somehow get a split stance, or they're very slow getting out of it. He's pretty good at it. Limited route tree, though, is pretty much a go or a comeback. Pretty much what it was. And we didn't see a whole lot of him, obviously, recently injured, and he's kind of just been on the sideline, stuck there. So going to have to expand a little bit more here for George Pickens. But that big playability, again, there's some things to like there. Guy that could sneak into first, thinking more second. John Metchie at 9, who I think became underrated somehow. I don't see anyone ranking him this high, maybe not too far off. I like his routes. I like his footwork. I like his instincts, knowing where to go on the field. It's hard to coach that. Really can't. So I really like that. I think he's got some upside as a slot receiver. I like the versatility as well, though, because he's mainly played X receiver. This year, actually. Devontae Smith played X last year, so Metchie was more the Z / and then in the slot. Smith was a bit of both X and Z as well. But Metchie, this year kind of listed as an X, played in the slot. I see a lot of upside in the slot. And I see, sometimes like down the line, 3-4 years, all of a sudden this NFL receiver's taking off in the slot. And like, this guy really wasn't a slot receiver in college. I kind of got that feeling that Metchie's kind of that guy. I keep seeing, I'm not a big comparisons guy either. I'm kind of seeing a little bit of Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry much tougher after the catch than Metchie. But I kind of see some of that. So I do like him. Does have the recent ACL injury. Players are coming back from that. Does have some drops. Don't love that. Christian Watson at 10. I know a lot of people like Christian Watson a lot. Probably higher on him than me. Even though 10's a pretty good rank, a lot of good receivers. There's a lot to like. I mean, you look at the kid and you see the rare length, athleticism combo, speed, quickness, agility, all those things. There's a lot to like. You want to work with that a little bit. He doesn't know how to use all that on the field, right now. You see the speed shows up. On the end arounds, that the athleticism shows up quite a bit. They gave him some end arounds. Those look pretty. I'm talking as a receiver, the way he separates, the way he goes up and get, contested catches. Those things, I don't see him using his traits in those categories, which are very important. You'll see the speed, though. He's going against FCS competition and man coverage, and he'll just straight run by. It's going to be a little different in the NFL. Not that he can't run by people. It's just going to be a lot different, So got to work on his routes, coverage recognition, using those traits in the most important spots of being a receiver. Because I'm not seeing a whole lot of that right now. And I think he's not old, but he's on the older side of the receiver group. So kind of a raw prospect. You wish he was like 20, rather than 23, 22, turning 23, whatever it may be. So he's a bit raw there, but there is a lot to like. But you see in the Senior Bowl, I don't really care about one-on-ones. Anybody that's played receiver or corner, been around the football in general, know that the receiver should separate from the corner every single time in one-on-ones. But more of the game, they were trying to kind of get him going, wasn't really kind of just run straight, just not a whole lot of separation, but a lot to like there. I just think social media, maybe, the media, a little hyping him up a little bit too much. I don't see first round. I do not see first round there. Could happen, though. Next group of guys, there's a lot of guys close to being in the top 15 as well. Tough to leave some out. Khalil Shakir, Boise State slot receiver, very productive from the slot, good routes, good footwork, very good after the catch, kind of hits that next gear after the catch. Really just one negative, and it drops. There's like kind of a lot of them. I mean, he'll make spectacular catches too. I've seen so many kind of, not really one hand, but one arm. He's very good at like kind of his body control as he's kind of getting hit to the ground. He just knows how to let it land and makes a big-time play, near the sideline in the end zone. Then you just have these drops, and it's, I guess from all the guys I watched film on so far, he probably has the most, and that's kind of probably what's keeping him out of being. I mean, we might be even pushing end of the first round if it wasn't for that. Maybe early second, because he's a very technically sound slot wide receiver, very fun to watch. I think he's kind of pro-ready in that aspect. Just got to catch the ball better, but very fun to watch. David Bell to number 12. I recently bumped him up, kind of going back and watching him and just remembering what we saw or what we saw live, which is very, very good play. The combine was underwhelming, lacking some speed, poor testing numbers, obviously, but he can catch the ball. He's got impressive body control, contested catch ability. He's got good routes and instincts, knows how to get open, knows where to go on the field, and he looks faster on the field than he did on tape. So I'm just kind of going, this guy is good. He's a good football player, better than what the testing numbers say. It's just you got to be able to separate, though, and he did at Purdue, but maybe lacking that speed, will he struggle in the NFL? But I just like his tape, I just remembering what we saw live, saw a lot of him live, so I'm going him 12, and Jalen Tolbert at 13, which I don't think he looks, as I think David Bell looks faster on the field anytime. I think Tolbert doesn't look as fast as he time, but not that he's slow or anything like that. Good build. I like that he's effective everywhere on the field. Really good on those comebacks. Good footwork there. Pretty solid in and out of his breaks. You see him downfield, underneath, kind of effective everywhere on the field. Just has some drops, a little more than you would like. Not flashy after the catch. Doesn't have a ton of speed. Don't see a ton of separation. That's kind of playing the weaker competition as well, but flashy at times for sure. Tyquan Thornton is a tough one to rank because I love his tape. He's got elite speed, fastest offensive player in the draft. Jameson Williams would have ran, then maybe him. But pretty damn close, actually. Or might have been Thornton. Legit deep threat. Like the footwork, too. Not just going deep, kind of going across the middle of the field in traffic, running away from people. I've seen times where people have angles on him and don't catch him, which isn't surprising because he's very, very fast. But I've seen a lot of times where the guys that are about to have angles just don't even try. They give up. They watch the tape and they just know it's one of the fastest guys in football. So it's just ridiculous speed. Very, very, very thin frame. Definitely needs to bulk up. How will he be against NFL press? This is the tough part. Will teams even throw him out there against it? That's the tough part because, okay, if he weighs 181 around there for a 6'3 guy, it's very light. If he weighed over 200 pounds, I'm going to say this right now. If he weighed over 200 pounds, he had some bulk to him and there was no worry, about anything like that, I think he'd be a first-round pick. I actually think he'd be a first-round pick. I just worry, because I think he's that talented, and I want to put him higher. I just worry that I'm going to rank him high here because he's talented, but teams are going to look at him and be like, he's too thin. I can't put him out there against press man. And they don't even play him because of that. They're going to try to get him to bulk up. Does that affect the speed? I'd say probably not. He's fast enough, but just some questions there. He's very talented, though. Very, very talented. And 15, one of the bigger upside guys for sure in the draft, Kevin Austin Jr., Notre Dame wide receiver. And I'll talk about guys that were there's a lot of guys very close being ranked 15 in a second. And I'll have a spreadsheet of the rankings, all of my rankings right before the draft. I release it on Twitter every year for everyone to keep handy. So that's something to look out for if you want to see way more than 15. Still watching that film, though. But Kevin Austin from Notre Dame, big-time upside guy. I like the size. I like the build. I like the athleticism. The combine testing numbers were ridiculous. But why does he have all this upside? Highly recruited for Notre Dame. True freshman, don't really play much. That's expected. And he gets suspended. Nothing that I don't think we're worried about going forward. And then next year, he was injured. Nothing we're worried about long term. And no, this year was really he's got some snaps before this. Some, very little. This was almost like he was a freshman. It really felt like that for Kevin Austin Jr. He comes in looking more like a physical freak, and he was very, very productive. He had some circus catches. He's contested catch ability. Interesting after the catch. Doesn't present that combine speed after the catch, not too far off, but interesting footwork, making people miss. So I enjoyed watching that part of it. So I would think highly recruited for Notre Dame, not like Alabama highly recruited, but in 1 year of really getting going and just showing, he's looks like a freak, right? And then he shows up at the combine. You would think an upside guy, showing up at the combine looking more like a freak, testing like a freak. Okay, the upside's kind of showing here. So I'm wondering if this guy has ridiculous upside for those reasons. 1 year of production could be a downside. Needs to separate better, use that speed a little bit more. Was never really wide open, had to rely on a contested catch, which he was pretty damn good at. So that's an upside guy to watch for sure. I really like the upside there. I almost want to rank him higher just because what he can become. It's just tough. Because if if teams, and we'll see where he goes. That could be a sneaky one that goes earlier because teams love freaky dudes with upside. Usually the crazy freaky dudes with the upside like that usually go first round, but he's not going to go first round. So is that saying something? But could he sneak into second because of that? But after that, I like Danny Gray from SMU a lot. It was tough keeping him outside of 15. I had just something about him. I like him a lot. I know a lot of people have Alec Pierce from Cincinnati ranked up here. There's a lot to like. Good build, contested catch ability, very good combine. I don't know if that speed and quickness shows on the field. Not that he's slow or anything. A lot of the gadget guys, Wan'Dale Robinson's fun to watch. Calvin Austin, Bo Melton. These guys are little undersized, so how much will they be used? Velus Jones Jr., love him from Tennessee. I think he's more than a gadget guy. Pretty close to being ranked to 15 for me. Mid-round guy. Kind of going top of my head here. Justin Ross. Justin Ross he declined after the injuries, but he's still so talented. He's easily top 15 talented. easily. But the injuries are a legitimate concern, just multiple popping up and some serious ones that don't really get better with more football time, with more hits. They just kind of get worse, and then more things pop up. You rather have an ACL injury or something like that. They thinking and saying things like that, but that's kind of what it is. So Ross, easily top 15, top 10 talent, in my opinion. Even with the decline after the injury, still that talented. Some rough quarterback play, surprisingly, at Clemson this year. The injuries are just a legitimate concern there, and that's unfortunate. So there's definitely more guys than that, some sleepers out there. Romeo Doubs from Nevada I like too, another one I like. So we'll talk more in the future. We'll have that spreadsheet with all the rankings handy for you guys closer to the draft. Follow our Twitter for all those updates and more. But yeah, check out those other position ranking videos. We got a recent mock draft up. We got all kinds of NFL content here daily. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Any link you're looking for, pin in the comment section. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.